Welcome to New Life Live with host and founder of New Life Ministries, Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Hi there, welcome to New Life Live, and I'm really glad you're with us here today. It is a great day. I think we're going to have freeze warnings here, and or deep freeze warnings here in Carmel, Indiana. But other than that, it's going to be fabulous, and maybe where you are, it's warmer, and that's great. But here's what we've got for you. Cold, warm, no matter the weather, we want to connect with a heart, and our heart is warm for you. We care about you. And when I say we, I'm talking about Dr. Alice Benton and Marc Cameron are here in the studio. And we want to hear what's going on with you. And, you know, sometimes when people call, they don't really like what we say. And that's the good news, is we're not just going to tell you something that might make you feel a little bit better, but we're going to tell you the truth. And maybe that could be the beginning of a whole new way of looking at things. Sometimes people say, why do you tell people to divorce? I said, well, you know, we usually don't tell people to divorce. We tell people that there's a criteria for divorce, and this kind of falls under that biblical criteria, or it doesn't. But often we do tell people, you know, maybe it's time for a separation, that until there's this separation, he or she will never fully understand you're serious, or that things are different now. You mean business. And I think people hear that and they think, well, they're not really for this marriage staying together. Hey, we're for the marriage healing, and sometimes you got to do some major stuff to make it heal. Well, the separation plan is a dilemma, and most people don't get it right. And on Friday, well, Marc, you're going to add this new video to the New Life video library about the separation plan. Now, how do you make that work for people versus, well, now that we're separate, we're just going to get more separate? Because I think that's the big fear. How do you make it work?
Yeah, I definitely think you need a plan. I think there's two things here. I think there's a plan and there's a separation agreement. The plan, I tell clients, really is for you, right? A plan is a way to keep yourself safe, hold boundaries, right? You create space in the separation to see if your partner's going to do the recovery work. And then within that, then you may have a separation agreement with your partner where you are outlining certain things, right? You know, what are you going to tell the kids? What are you going to tell family members? Parenting time, those kinds of things. But you also want to outline recovery steps, right? What are your requirements for that person to go to individual therapy? Are you willing to go to couples therapy with them, right? What do you want to see them achieve in that time? And I recommend to people to at least do things in 6-month increments, because you want it to be at least enough time that you can see if change is going to be sustained, and then you want to then evaluate. But I think if you have a plan, if you have an agreement together, then it's less ambiguous and both people know where you're working toward.
And you know, if you cannot be in separate houses, you can do an in-house separation. And it's very much like the Lucy, I Love Lucy show where they had a piece of tape, I think, down the middle of the house, and don't cross that tape. Well, it's not really like that. But anyway, here's the thing. Status quo doesn't heal. Tomorrow doesn't heal things. The power is in making a choice today that's the right choice, and it's usually the toughest, and we want to help you do that. We'll help you with that here. If you call us right now, 1-800-229-3000, and when we come back, we'll go to Bruni. Take his call first. But I hope and pray that something we say today might make a difference in your life or someone you care about, because you do something in a different way that honors God and honors God's truth.
it had become very apparent that some of the things I was involved with were taking over my life.
In today's world, men are barraged with inappropriate content and images all day, every day. Some say that certain behaviors are just no big deal. It's just part of being a guy. But it's simply not true. It's a battleground for every man, and the opportunities to fail are everywhere. New Life's Every Man's Battle Workshop can help.
After 7 years, just one weekend, a completely changed man.
For over 20 years, New Life Ministries has been helping men regain their integrity and purity through their one-of-a-kind Every Man's Battle Workshop.
He said, I think this is something that every man should go to. Married, dating, it was definitely life-changing.
Now the workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 4th through the 6th. Don't wait for him to call. To find out more, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to newlife.com.
I just can't say enough of what New Life has done for our marriage.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hello, this is Carol Howley Simmons, General Manager of Salem Media Group Boston, WEZE 590 AM The Word, and WROL 950 AM and 100.3 FM The Spirit of Boston. On behalf of the Boston team, I want to extend a huge congratulations to New Life Ministries on your 35th anniversary, and to New Life Live for being awarded Radio Program of the Year in 2023. Now more than ever before, there is a desperate need for God-centered guidance and counseling. New Life Ministries answers that call every day, and we are so honored and humbled to serve you in that mission. You are a blessing to Boston, and we congratulate you and thank you for always answering the call for the past 35 years. Here's to 35 more.
Yeah, I thank you. I'm so grateful Carol said that. Wonderful station, WEZE. They have such an influence there, and we're just so happy to be around 35 years later doing what we do and making mistakes all the time. Like Bruni is a woman, and I didn't even think about that. So, hi, from Quakertown, Pennsylvania. How you doing? And sorry about me getting that wrong. But it's not the first time, nor will it be the last. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. You can call me anything you want as long as you don't call me late for dinner, okay?
Exactly. Won't do that. Well, I'm really glad that you called us today, and you're calling. You listen to WBYN. There's another great station. What's on your mind?
Yes, it is. First of all, congratulations for your excellent job and the years that you've been helping.
Thank you.
Living in there, I called before, and there's two questions. I'm the grandmother raising two grandchildren. One of him is autistic, 16, and his sister is 14. My first question is, he tends to treat him very unfair, and I don't know if it's jealousy or, what it is, or she's taking all the anger that she has inside of her because she's been through a lot. She's 14 years old. But I keep reassuring her that it's not that I love him more, it's just that I need a little different treatment because he's autistic 16 when he's only 8 years old mentally. So I had to, explain to him in a different way. She seems to be humiliating him when she's with her friends and he's there too. And that's something that I often tell her that's not acceptable. So I don't know how to help her understand that there's a reason and a way she had to develop a little more sense of love, of respect. I don't have any idea what else to do. That's my first question.
So let's deal with that, and then we can deal with the second one there.
Okay.
I've seen this before, and I'll let these guys do the heavy lifting, but I just want to say this. It is a real loss for your 14-year-old. It's a real loss of time and availability and things that needs to be accepted. In other words, rather than just, hey, can't you see this child has greater needs than you? Well, first you have to connect with what the 14-year-old's feeling, because it is real. And she doesn't have the maturity to be able to say, yeah, it's real, but this is life and I have to accept it and all that. At this stage, she really needs someone to connect with what she's feeling, which is a loss of what a normal relationship would be if there wasn't a person with special needs in the family. And then when you connect with that, hopefully, then she could be able to better accept. But there's no excuse for ever mistreating anyone, especially someone with a disability. So, Alice, what do you have to say about that? How can she address that you just can't do this anymore?
Bruni, we just love getting calls from grandparents like you who are so involved in the lives of your grandchildren, and you are aware of what's happening and protective of both and trying to raise them well, and helping them to treat each other well. It's a mighty task that you have. Are their parents also involved?
No, and the mother, it's literally, she's mentally ill. She doesn't understand life, and that's another matter. But the point of it is no. The only one is involved is me, and he used to be my husband, but he just abandoned us after 34 years of marriage. He just abandoned us, not even a year now.
That's so sad.
So we're going through this divorce.
And do you have, with all that your family has been going through, do you have a close relationship with your 14-year-old granddaughter?
We used to be, and the last year, and then with the abandonment of the only male in her life, now gone, she just tends to be getting worse and worse. I have her in different counseling and support system and everything, but she just, I don't know if it's taken more than normal people. I mean, that normal teenager. I think it's just getting worse.
Mm-hmm. And is she sometimes aware and able to admit that she's too hard on her brother?
No, she is very stubborn in that matter. She just always could defend herself and blame him for everything. Which is something common in her these days that I noticed that too. Her mother is like that, so never take accountability for anything. So I just understand.
So what are a couple of things maybe she could do to get through? Or, I mean, you got to be with the right kind of counseling for the 14-year-old. But what are you thinking, Alice?
Well, Bruni, I would suggest, similarly to what Steve said, that trying to reach her heart with all the loss both of you have been through, she's taking her anger and her pain, I think, out on her brother, which isn't right. It doesn't justify it. But it's certainly understandable that she is stirred up on the inside with all you folks have been through. And so I would give her permission to talk about the difficult emotions, and I would name some of them for her. I would guess she might feel humiliated or embarrassed, unfortunately, but by her brother and by his behavior when she's in front of her friends. It doesn't give her license to treat him that way. But Bruni, naming that for her at a time that she's slightly more receptive and acknowledging that it's also difficult for you, that his behavior can be tough for you too, tough to know how to handle, and invite her to speak about it apart from the discipline and the instruction that you have to give her to try to correct her behavior. I'd also ask you to invite her to pray with you about it, for the two of you to both have more patience and empathy for the 16-year-old. And then I'd ask you to let her know that you'll need to point it out privately and gently when it happens, and that there'll be a loss of privilege or there'll be some sort of a consequence that you'll enact as she continues to mistreat him. But hear her heart first, and then let her know what the discipline and the consequence will be.
And what's the second question we could help you with? Because you are going through so much here. But what's the second question, Bruni?
My second question is that right now, as we are into the divorce, I am struggling financially, and I'm doing my best with the job that I have. But the point of it is that I keep telling their mother, please, let me put these kids in the county that we live, in the health insurance that you have for them, because the judge said we can use her health insurance from the government. So, and she is not willing to do so. So, because she lives like 3 hours away from us, I'm starting to get bills from this medical for the kids, which they supposed to be completely, covered. But I asked her, and she said no, because if you go to them and you want to put them from your county, then they're not going to give me the food stamp anymore. Okay. They're not going to give me this. And you see what I mean? So
Bruni, here's what you have to do. You have to get the court to appoint what's called an ad litem. That's somebody that the court appoints that has no one's interest in mind other than the kids. And that would be the person that would then say to the judge, you need to rule that this needs to take place, and he would make that happen, or she would make that happen, the judge. But it's a legal issue, and I would go and I would ask the court to appoint an ad litem for the kids. That's the thing to do.
How do you get to court? I mean, I'm dealing with my own divorce here, and now I gotta go to court. I have to bring a lawyer. How that goes?
You have to go online and look at the legal agencies that provide legal services for people like you that don't have money to pay for them. And there's some firms that are listed as it's all pro bono. There are agencies, but you have to do a little bit of research to find out who can represent you when you don't have money to be represented. But in the long run, that trouble will really save or get them the kind of resources and the financial help that you need. And I wish we had more time to talk about it. Marc, you have a little something on that first one you want to throw in there before we go?
Well, so I think just what I would add to the last thing that you're saying here, Steve, is oftentimes people are afraid or hesitant to call child protection services, but child protection services really they protect kids in all circumstances, and so just because you call them doesn't mean that they're going to come out to your house and take your kids away from you. Oftentimes they've got a lot of resources that they can direct you to, so that's one thing that I would go to, Bruni. I think Alice, you hit on something really key, which you talked about empathy, and so the way we build empathy, right, is we put the other person in to your shoes or whomever's shoes it is that you're trying to build empathy for. And so that's what I would do with that, Bruni, is that she's obviously, we talked about this, a lot of loss of attention probably from what her brother's getting, loss of her grandfather, loss of her parents, and that's really what's stirring up a lot of this stuff inside her. 14 is just a really, really hard age. There's a lot of identity building happening there. But when you have those conversations, as Alice was saying, connect first. When you have those conversations, try and put her in the situation. Say, how might you feel if somebody said this to you, right? And then connect it that way and say, and I think that's maybe what's happening with your brother is he's feeling that way.
Very, very tough. All right. I hope something we've said is helpful. If you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. Let's go to Aaron, Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, WFIL. And again, the number, 1-800-229-3000. Hello, Aaron. How are you today?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. Doing all right. How can we help?
I think I called here last week, talked to you last week. Doing well. I was just wondering how to deal with depression throughout every day's life.
And what's different than last time you talked with us? What is going on in your life that's really troubling you?
I'm just really missing my dad.
Okay.
He died 2017, December 16th.
Okay.
So it's coming up.
Right.
On the anniversary of it.
Rough.
So.
That's rough. Well, Marc, how would you direct Aaron to deal with everyday depression? 2017, it's a long time, and he's still really, really troubled over the loss.
Yeah. Well, I missed your call last time, Aaron, so I don't know what you shared and what was shared with you on that. But are you Are you getting any help of any kind? Are you in a grief group? Are you seeing a therapist?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you have either of those resources ever directed you to see a psychiatrist for your depression?
Yeah, they did, and I'm currently taking medicine for it. I've been taking it for about 3 days, and it hasn't been helping any.
3 days is it takes a lot of times more time than that for the medicine to have an effect.
Right. It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks for the medicine to kick in, because that's just the way antidepressants work.
Okay.
We're coming up on a break here, so hold on for a moment and we'll be right back with you, okay?
All right, you're listening to New Life Live, and if you want to join us, 1-800-229-3000. We'll talk about the power of community when we get back right after this. Glad you're with us. Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Workshop is Saturday, December 2nd. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack-Harris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. Chris Williams on coaching.
Oftentimes I get asked, what is the difference between therapy and coaching? The biggest difference between the two is that a therapist is going to be looking for a diagnosable mental health condition, whereas a coach is going to look at a particular issue and help a person work through that.
If you need a coach, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
If you're looking at an issue in your life that you just kind of want to change, whether it be your weight or leadership or other areas of behavioral patterns, check out coaching. There can be some really, really helpful things for you.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 and talk to us about getting a New Life coach. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here, and we're talking with Aaron, and Marc's doing a good job here trying to help him discover things that might be missing when we're trying to just deal with loss and maybe just even a season of life. Things aren't going so well. Marc?
Yeah, so Aaron, you were talking about the anniversary of your dad's death coming up, and so that is actually quite common, is that people can re-experience feelings of loss, sadness when the anniversaries happen, because that's the way our brains work. Our brains work by association, so oftentimes as the day comes up or maybe even the season changes and it reminds us of when we lost that person, we can start to feel like we're in a funk. Sometimes that happens to people without them even realizing the connection. So it makes sense, I think, what's happening on the inside for you in this moment. I do like the answers that you gave me for the questions that you're in a grief group, that you're in individual counseling, that you're willing also to even try an antidepressant. There's many people who are hesitant to do that, but I applaud that you're willing to do that. And so I think you're doing all the right things, as we mentioned right before we went to the break, just the ways that antidepressants work in the brain. It takes some time for them to work, and again, several weeks before you may even feel the full impact of them. But I think one thing that I would say is just the importance of community, getting around others, because oftentimes depression wants to isolate us, right? It keeps us, we have a loss of interest in reaching out to others and activities that we used to enjoy, and we have low energy. And so it's really learning how to fight that internally within yourself and reach out and seek others and to learn how to talk about it, right? And that's how we find relief.
And Aaron, go ahead, Steve.
No, go ahead, Alice.
When you're in community, when you're in those close relationships, enter into purposeful lament, where you allow yourself to get sad and express it, and even to allow tears to flow. You're talking about it with us, so you feel the urge and you're acting on it to connect with people, to talk about your dad. And Aaron, tears contain something called biotoxins, where they actually help clean the body out of the stress hormones that we feel when we go through loss and difficulties. So there's this misnomer that we're not supposed to cry. We got to be tough and soldier our way through it. But that doesn't help us as well as purposeful lament helps us in the long term. And then, Aaron, pursuing purpose, adding new purpose to your life, when we are sitting in our sorrow and we might be lacking action in our life, adding something purposeful like service, whether it's volunteering or getting involved at your church, it can take us out of ourselves and out of our grief, and that can speed up some of the healing process that we just have to go through in the loss of someone as important as your dad.
And I want to add one more thing. I was at our Lumina event in Washington, D.C., our Museum of the Bible Partnership event for women, fantastic event. And a woman came up to me, and it's so fun being me because I get to hear these stories all the time. She said, years ago I called, and I travel and lonely, and you said, well, go to a city, look up, and go attend a Christian recovery group. And she said, I didn't need recovery. But I took your advice anyway. And because there were all these Christians, and it was fantastic, and they loved me, and they cared. And all of a sudden, I'm discovering I'm codependent. And now she's been in recovery all this time. But it began with feeling lonely that she connected with a recovery group. Well, what's a recovery group? It's a growth group. It's a discipleship group. And so if nothing else, Aaron, why not go to a Christian recovery group, one of our life recovery groups? Why not become a member? Because one of the workbooks, and I'll send it to you, I may have already, but I'll send it again, is the Life Recovery Workbook on grief. And you work the 12 steps from a grieving process. And it can really, really help. But I would just say to anybody, if you are lonely ever, there is a Christian recovery group, a life recovery group, either online or where you are. You just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'll find it for you. We'll tell you where to go, and you won't be alone. And that number's 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now, this number, if you want to join us here, 1-800-229-3000. We would absolutely love to talk with you no matter what. Let's go to JR, Plano, Texas. KWRD is the station. Hey, JR, how are you?
Hi, Steve. Thank you. My question is, why isn't deliverance put as a priority message from the pulpit to get their flock healed? An example, let's say a dad goes, he gets cleaned up. I just went through my second round, 4 or 5 hours about a week ago, and it was glorious. And so then a dad gets cleaned up, he comes home, and then he's able to have more peace and joy and love in the home. And I don't understand why no one's talking about it, the importance of that in the healing process for all strongholds.
Well, good question. And when you talk about deliverance, tell me what that means to you.
Okay. I just discovered a week ago that I'm an orphan dad. My father was beaten all of his life. That's all he knew, and that's what he did with me. But I actually knelt and washed his feet with my tears and asked for his forgiveness. For his forgiveness for all the anger, bitterness, and rage that built up through the years. And as a grown man approaching his casket, the very first thought as a grown man was, you can't hurt me anymore. And so now I had that hole, that father's wound in my heart. But now I've identified now an orphan is more than just someone who never knew their parents, but maybe an abusive dad or a neglected dad or an absentee dad.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you're able to experience it. We'll talk about it. Got to go to a break. We'll be back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. Steve Arterburn here. JR has asked a question, why isn't deliverance talked more about from the pulpit? You know, JR, I asked you what you meant by deliverance because for some people, as I think you're aware, deliverance would be walking down the aisle and then someone lays hands on them or whatever and says, you know, come out, demon of this or whatever, and that's a deliverance thing. What you described, you actually did something. You went through a healing process there that I think must have been so helpful in dealing with the bitterness there. And I wish that it was things like that were recommended much more than they are, because look at what it's done for you. Now, here's the other thing that I want to say about deliverance, and that is that we can be delivered from something, but it doesn't deliver us into Christian maturity or character. You know, even if you were, let's just say a person had a demon, they were addicted, all the things, and they were delivered, well, that would just be a starting point. See? Would you agree with that?
Okay.
That you still have to get involved and you need to grow. And then the other caution is that sometimes people want a quick fix, instant solution, and they seek out deliverance rather than do the work, where it says work out your salvation. It's kind of like, if you'll do the work, the deliverance will come. And we're deliverance people here. We're transformation people, and it's a process. We had a woman that stayed with us for quite some time, and she was convinced that she needed to be delivered. And we absolutely took her and let her do, or went with her to have that done. Then, when all of the problems she had were still there 3 days later, that's when we were able to say to her, okay, we tried that, now let's do something different that might become, the ultimate solution. But your point about...
If I may interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I may interject, the Holy Spirit told me to use the term spiritual car wash, that we need to do this a minimum of once a year to stay on that path of obedience, to grow closer to the Holy Spirit, etc. So it is a process. I agree 100%.
Yeah. Well, to that end, I just want to make one more comment, and that is this. So in Washington, D.C. this weekend, we have a Restore conference for women that would tend to be angry, bitter, unforgiving, maybe, of being hurt so badly by a man with sexual integrity. We also, in a different location, have our Every Man's Battle conference, our intensive, where men come in and they don't want to be there, many of them. They're just, kind of doing something to maybe not lose the house or whatever. And in both of those situations, we see so much deliverance in the way that you're talking about, or that spiritual car wash. An angry, bitter person who's entitled to be angry and bitter leaves feeling like she is heard, she belongs, she has people that understand her, and she begins the process of grieving, accepting, and forgiving. And then the men come, and we see, I just talked to a lady the other day, thank you for Every Man's Battle. My husband went, accepted Christ there. Things have never been the same. So it comes in many forms, but absolutely the spiritual car wash business, I love that phrase because we all need it, and an annual, like for me, I should do that every month. But anyway, I'm so thankful that you're pointing out that many times it's more than a sermon on Sunday that we need for us to restore the things in our life that are broken. And let me send you a little gift for bringing this up. I'll send you Every Man's Bible, and I hope and pray that that'll be something that will help you in your study. Well, speaking of helpful people, Larry Sonnenberg's in the studio. Larry, how are you, and what do you have for us today?
Well, Steve, you led into this really well. We have both those workshops coming up this weekend in Washington, D.C., Restore and Every Man's Battle. And I got 2 short testimonies I want to read about each of them because we need to help more people. We don't do these workshops, I think, often enough or with enough people attending that should be there. So here we go. From the Restore workshop, she wrote, I waited so long to share my story because I felt so ashamed. I finally realized the enemy wants me to feel alone and helpless and somehow responsible because I wasn't good enough. I believe God brought me here to open my heart and show me truth. I'm leaving with a plan and a hope. That shame factor just really cripples people. It appears, and a lot of times in different ways, it hits the women harder because they're harder to make a decision that this workshop really is necessary. So ladies, I just want to encourage you to think about coming to this workshop. Give us a call right now today. It's not too late, and you can find the help you need. You can get your heart open. You can see the truth, and you can leave with a plan and a hope, just like this woman did that wrote this to us.
A lot of times the question for a woman will have, well, why should I have to go do something? He did this. He's the problem. And I want to answer that. The reason it would be really good for you to go so that the pain that you feel, you're not feeling it 5 years from now or 4 years from now. It's a gift to yourself to find a way that the impact of that betrayal isn't going to continue to hurt you and cause all sorts of other problems because you just haven't gotten beyond it. We will help you do that. And you have another testimony, right?
I do. This one is from a gentleman. He said, this was the most meaningful, uplifting, life-changing event of my life. I've done another 11-day men's intensive, but its impact pales in comparison because it was secular and lacked God's love and our redemption through Christ's sacrifice. I feel closer to my group of brothers in 2 days than 11 days with the others. I leave feeling loved, inspired, changed, and redeemed. What could be better, guys? I mean, you can try whatever you want, and there are some other workshops and things that will help you along really well. But you want to get the complete package and get to the bottom of things. Come to Every Man's Battle. It's just unlike anything else.
What an amazing thing to go to something you don't want to go to and you just go. And then we do the rest. We tell you things. We inspire you to do things, and you leave on a totally different track that you may not even believe you could be on, a track of sexual integrity.
Well, when you think about it, this guy went to 11 days at another event, and he found more in just Friday to Sunday with New Life's Every Man's Battle than he did on 11-day intensive otherwise.
Yeah. It really is a great experience, and I hope and pray that if you know somebody that needs to go, call us, find out about it. It's not too late. It does change lives. It transforms lives. And if you can support us, please do, because that's what we do with that support, is we help people transform their lives.
Steve, I want to encourage folks to give to our scholarship fund.
Okay.
I got a note recently on Friday that it's dipping pretty low, and with these 2 workshops coming up on Friday, we get a few more scholarship requests for each of these workshops, and we're going to have to dip into the well. So I've sent out some notes to some folks that I know support scholarships, and I'm asking you today if you would consider giving your gift right now to the scholarship fund.
All right. 1-800-NEW-LIFE or 1-800-NEW-LIFE or newlife.com. Either one. We want to help you. We want you to help us too, if you possibly can. All right. Thank you, Larry.
Alrighty.
Appreciate that. And our number here, we're going to be in the studio another hour and 20 minutes. 1-800-229-3000. 1-800-229-3000. We're going to talk with Chuck now. And Chuck's calling all the way from North Platte, Nebraska. I've been there a few times for the share-a-thons. Hi, Chuck. How are you today? KJLT's the station.
Hi, I'm doing good.
Great. How could we help today? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just wondering, I have a question about resources and whether I'm handling my situation well, and I think I'm doing really well. My wife passed away 7 weeks ago, and we'd been married 33 years.
How'd she die? How'd she die, Chuck?
Cancer.
Okay.
And so we had a while to prepare. She was sick off and on for 3 years, and the middle year was recovery and negative or remission, and then the third year it came back and she didn't recover from that.
Well, Chuck, I've got to go to this break. I hate to interrupt you. I've got to go to this break. I can't prevent these breaks. They just happen to us. We'll help you or talk with you right after this.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. I called the wedding off. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Workshop is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
My husband is a recovering sex addict. There were strip clubs, other ladies.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Workshop will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Washington, D.C. November 3rd through the 5th. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
We're back. We're talking with Chuck, whose wife died 7 weeks ago and had about 3.5 years to prepare for that. Alice, Mark, what are you thinking? I mean, Chuck thinks he's doing pretty well along the way here.
Yeah, Chuck, you were wondering about resources. You were saying you think you're taking the necessary steps. Tell us, what are some of the strongest things that are helping you through this time since your wife passed so recently?
Probably the biggest thing is I allowed myself to grieve, and I haven't been like stuffing that or ignoring it or trying to get away from it. And I had family available to me for the first 3 weeks, which was amazing. And then I think that got me through the worst part, at least the initial worst part. And again, I haven't done this, so I don't know what's coming, but I think I'm doing really well. And I grieved. I did all the arrangements for the service, and we went and picked wildflowers, and I organized friends to host it and everything. And I just used the professionals only where I had to. And so I was able to honor her one last time and give her the service that she would have wanted. And she didn't request anything. She said, whatever you do after I'm gone is for you. And so I did what she would have loved it. And even when I was preparing, I kept thinking, well, man, she's going to love these flowers when she sees them. And I get blindsided by those thoughts that come up because it was second nature to think about her. And so,
and Chuck, with the 3 years of her illness, were you mainly caring for her at home? And did you have to put employment on hold or other parts of life on hold while you took care of her?
No, I was able to continue working. She did require care for the last few months, but not full-time care. So I was able to work and take care of what she needed until like the last week. But then I had family coming in, and so I managed to do it the whole time and balance everything, which was hard. It was really stressful, but I did it. Yeah.
And Chuck, how do you think we can help you? What's your question about resources?
Well, I missed most of the previous call about grief because I was talking to your scheduler. And if I'd heard that one. Anyway, my question was, I think I'm doing well. And my work required me to get 2 professional counseling sessions, which were basically I just talked and she said I was doing fine. And so I got it out that way. I process. So my question is, I don't have any resources. I'm not attending any groups. I haven't read any books, and I know everybody processes stuff differently. I feel like I'm doing well, and, I tell people that I am partly sunny with intermittent rain showers. And so I think I'm doing good, but I don't know. Everybody's different, and I don't know if I should be reading something or from the input that I've had, I think I'm doing good. So I didn't know if there was anything extra or anything you could tell, just any advice about any direction.
Chuck, I think you're actually working grief really well in a very healthy way. You had time to prepare for your wife's passing, so you started grief before she before she actually died, and I think you're doing it really well. What I would say to you is expect waves, right? Grief often comes in waves, and sometimes, right, we think that we're doing really well, and all of a sudden an association happens, and it pulls us right back into the sadness. And so I think if you know, that's most likely going to happen to you, and I think if you can expect that may happen, you won't be so shocked when it does, and think, oh my gosh, I thought I was doing so well, and now here I am into a different stage of grief, right? Also, what I would say is that I do think it's helpful to get resources, find out more about grief, because there's different stages with grief, and you know, there may come a time where you do feel anger and that overwhelms inside you, and you might think, well, where's this coming from? Like, I thought I was over this, right? And it's helpful to know that is a normal stage of grief. So, but I would say, you know, get into a grief group, because it is really helpful, especially if you can process with others, you know, who have lost spouses. And again, you might end up being a help to other people who are not doing grief as well as you. And then the other thing that I would say is, do you have kids? I'm wondering if you do. You've been married for a long time. Yeah. And so I would say also, grieve with your kids, because I have seen people who haven't grieved with their kids, and it's actually caused a fracture in their relationship. And so what I would say is grieve with your kids, like share those stories, check in with them too, how they're doing, you know, talk about memories. All of these things are just extremely healthy to do.
All right, so I want to send you a couple of things. Let me send you a Life Recovery Bible with the grief workbook in it. That's one. And I want to send you Healing as a Choice. And there are 3 choices in there that I think are so important. One is for us to grieve, and we're talking about that. But then, once you've fully grieved, then there's this stage of acceptance. And when we accept it, because we've also made this other choice of embracing whatever it is that God has allowed to happen in our lives, the loss, people die in a fallen world, then we're able to not just get through it, but get beyond it. And that's what we want, is we want to get beyond it, which means we are respectful of the loss, but the loss is not controlling us, that we still care deeply about the loss, but we don't have to feel the intensity of the pain. And that's what I would want for you. So I'll send those to you, and I hope that they will be a blessing to you. We're almost out of time. I want to remind everybody that when you support this ministry, we have ways of saying thank you. And today, here's what I'll do. Henry Cloud, one of our great friends and used to be part of the boys here on New Life, he wrote this book, Trust, and it is such a fantastic book. And it's all about knowing, when should I trust somebody, and when should I not trust somebody, and how do I earn trust, and, you know, how do I get it back when it's all broken. I'll send that to you. Our gift to you, gift of any amount, to support New Life. And we really do need your support more than ever. I don't know if you noticed, but this is a pretty troubled world we live in. Pretty troubled? It's very troubled. And we started this ministry to reach a certain group of folks who are willing to take a look at themselves, look at the reality, and want things to be better. And when they do and they call, we usher in a process that God's allowed us to be part of transformation. And it is just fantastic to hear of the lives that get transformed. Not just feeling better, but transformed. You know, Jeremiah 6:14, they treat the mortal wounds of my people with superficial treatments, and they don't even blush. He's talking about priests and prophets of his day. We never want to fall into somebody's idea of some quick fix, instant solution that's a superficial treatment. And we're trying to do everything we can to usher in transformation. We need your help to do it. 1-800-NEW-LIFE, newlife.com will send you that book, Trust. But if you want your life different, better, transformed, call us. Same thing, 1-800-NEW-LIFE, or go to the website, newlife.com.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you. But you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, thank you for watching New Life Live. You know, New Life Live is a Christian counseling program where we deal with the hard questions about life, relationships, kids, free choice, freedom of will, whatever. It's all right there on New Life Live every day, every weekday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. If you want to call into the live broadcast, you can find the schedule on newlife.com or click the social media link right below. You can see every episode of New Life Live on the New Life YouTube channel. Watch it with a friend, watch it later. Be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so you'll never miss another episode. So if you want to listen on the go, download the app. The link is right below. And I hope if you need some information, if you want to get some help, you'll call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And I'll see you next time.